Greetings, fellow travelers. Welcome on in. This is level 169. Nice. Of the RPG Cave. I'm one of your hosts, the level 199 Human Dark Lord, Ryan Dervard, and I am joined, as always, by the level 199 Elf Battle Alchemist, Dr. Garret Bland. How are you doing in this lovely Monday evening? It's RPG Cave After Dark again.
It's RPG Cave Night.
Yep.
That's awesome. What a nice number, by the way, 169. We made it, Ryan.
The nicest number. We did episode 69 100 episodes ago.
Yeah.
It's the 100 episode anniversary of episode 69, Garret.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing good, man. Just like, after work, just feeling the mood about talking about, I don't know what we were talking about. RPGs, of course, not taxes or anything like that. So.
We're going to talk about very French role-playing games tonight. That's good. That's going to be exciting.
That's funny, actually.
Yeah. And taxes, you're right. I've already seen Garrett's three things, and I'm like, we're definitely talking about taxes tonight.
Something like that, right?
Yeah. Good to God. No. But anyways, this is the RPG Cave where we talk about RPGs all the time. We should just get into it because I'm excited to talk about all the stuff tonight. But first, if you're watching the live stream right now over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming or twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live, don't forget hit that subscribe button if you're watching over on the old YouTube. Hit that follow button if you're watching on Twitch. Maybe if you're feeling so inclined, you'd hit that subscribe button on Twitch, but we're not going to force you to do that. But you don't have to deal with ads then at that point. It's
free with Prime.
Ad-free cave, and it's free with Prime. So you could do all that stuff. All that stuff helps the show get discovered and helps the show go a long way. If you're listening on audio feeds, you also have an important job to do. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And also hit us up with an Apple Podcast review or a Spotify comment or just rate us on Spotify. All of that stuff also helps the show go a long way as well. Also, if you want one big podcast feed with the entire Carpool Gaming Cinematic Universe on it, head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming, just like Habs fan did, who's checking out the 7-day free trial.
Nice.
Over there on the old Patreon. Of course, Garret, do you recognize this reference here? Habs fan. What is Habs fan a fan of? Do you know what Habs is?
I no, you got me on that one. I have zero idea what's the reference. So
the Habs are the slang term for the Montreal Canadiens hockey team.
Sure. It was on the tip of my tongue. You just got it out of me. So all right,
I got it out of you.
Okay.
The Habitants.
The Habitants, is that what they're called? Okay, cool.
They're the Montreal Canadiens, but like the Habitants is where that word comes from. But people just refer to them as the Habs. So
interesting.
It's because it's easier to say than Canadiens every single time you want to talk about your hockey team, right? Like it's like they gave it a four letter word, just like Leafs.
So that's their hockey team, the Habs.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah. So
like the
there you
Aggies or the Longhorns or whatever. Yeah.
Or none of those are hockey teams. Yeah. It's not.
Sorry.
Not like
I just cling to football because Texas and such.
I know. Well, I mean, you must be a big fan of Utah Hockey Club, which is the newest team in the NHL this year. To the point where they don't have a team name.
Oh, they don't even have a team name.
No, they're just the Utah Hockey Club this year, and then next year
the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah.
Just like the FC club, all of them. They're all soccer clubs.
Their jersey, Garret, just has the word Utah on it in a diagonal fashion.
Is it like plain font? Is there any kind of style with it?
It's a pretty plain font, actually.
Is there any colors? Like what's the colors?
It's like baby blue and black are their colors.
This is rough, man. This is rough to hear, Juan. Utah Hockey. Yeah, no, it fills it out. The rest, Utah Hockey Club. I'm going to go to StubHub, and you're right. It is a baby blue and black. Why would you ever have that combination? You look like you're from like the Batman comic books from the 20s or 30s or something. Jeez, man.
I know. The Seattle Kraken last year, which Joyce joined the team the NHL last year, they got all the cool colors because they're like dark blue and turquoise. Or not turquoise, teal. And like
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Their jersey look pretty cool, but you got
the franchise joined the league as an expansion team.
Yeah, next year the Utah Hockey Club will have a name, and they'll actually probably have a proper jersey with like proper colors. But this year, this is just the colors they went with. But I love the fact that, we Habs fan just reading off him just joining the Patreon, of course, made us go into hockey talk, which is great.
Yeah. I would like the Utah Hockey Club's mascot to be just table salt because they're from Salt Lake City. So
yeah. Yarden points out that they tried to make them the Utah Yeti, but because it sounded awesome, but apparently the NHL they did not. Okay. The league did not approve of that, unfortunately.
Why would they not approve of that? Even though it's like, is it because it's just fake, or is it very?
It's probably like trademark stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, trademarks will get you. Yeah. You don't want to be sued, especially when you're a new hockey club. So
exactly. I was waving bye to who came by to say hello, and then he left.
I've been seeing his post about the Retro Pocket 5. It looks really good. So thank you, Winter Gamer, for chugging out those posts. Looking at that AMOLED screen on the Retroid Pocket 5 looks really good.
The Winter Gamer has been activated.
It's been activated for sure.
I love Sean's response here. Utah Hockey Talk.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done. No.
Anyways, of course we have. Speaking of Patreon, of course we have brand new content over Patreon, including Mitch's Pants episode that went out yesterday morning. So you can go check out Mitch's Pants episode. It's a rare occurrence when we get Mitch to do an episode.
It was like a random scene. He just like came in out of the blue. It's like, yeah, I'll just do it this week. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
And hear Mitch. Nice.
That doesn't happen very often. Exactly. Yeah. So make sure to go listen to that. Because again, it doesn't happen very often. Then Bowza is up next this week.
Nice.
Get your questions in from Bowza. The question post should already be up there on the Patreon. And I mentioned this on the PlayStation Drive, Garrett, but I'm going to mention it again here. Just so y'all know, you can ask questions of our Pants podcast without even having to be subscribed to the Patreon. You just have to have a Patreon account, which is free. You just go over to the question post and you can just ask questions if you want to. So,
and we sometimes, you have to be a patron for this, but in the Patreon Discord channel, we do ask like, hey, does anyone have any leftover questions? So
yeah.
I catch them over there sometimes. And also know that for the Patreon, you can ask anything.
Yeah, literally anything.
Just literally anything. And we'll try to answer it to the best of our ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Paint's podcast is pretty fun. So you got to do that.
It is.
I mean, McBeal points out a good point here. At this point, why wouldn't you be a patron?
That's true.
Why not? Why not? I mean, there is that 7-day free trial that Habs fan is checking out right now. You, the person watching or listening to this, could be checking out that free trial because there's a lot of stuff over there. It's pretty cool. But anyways, Garrett, it's time for you to tell me about 3 things that you probably have to tell me about.
Oh, let's dive into this, Ryan.
Oh, here we go.
You see all the 3 things, and Ryan's mind is exploding right now. It's like, what is going on? The first thing I'm a little bit of a down mood right now, Ryan. It's because of this very first thing. And I really blame Yarden because he shared this article with me in the PC Discord channel and the PCVG Discord, whatever. Mm-hmm. Basically, Trump wanting to tariff PC chips. Yeah. I feel like every time I hear about Trump, he just wants to do a crazy thing or an unreasonable thing or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It could be propaganda. It could be anything. But
that's why you guys voted for him.
Honestly, yes. If he tariffs this, there's like no logic to this at all. He wants to tariff Taiwanese-based products that are PC chips.
Yep.
All the PC chips in the world right now are being manufactured in Taiwan. Or most of them, like 99% of them. Why? Just why? That means all of our GPUs will be increased, and everything that has a chip, basically, which is everything these days, is going to increase in price.
It's mostly everything.
Yes, it's mostly everything. So I find that complete nonsense. So hopefully that doesn't go forward. Anyways, I'm done.
Now, before you move on, Garrett, I would like you to know when I read that you put this on the doc, it didn't clue into my brain that you were talking about PC chips for computers. And I thought you were talking about President's Choice potato chips. President's Choice, Garrett, for folks that don't know who are from America, is kind of like almost like a no-name brand here in Canada. So I thought maybe you were just really obsessed with Canadian potato chips, like the President's Choice brand.
Ryan, I don't know where you got that pull, man. Oh my goodness, President's Choice chips. That's an actual. I need to look this up. I feel like you You make things up here, and I have to look it up to validate this.
I'm not making it up. This is just Canada. That's just. I was like, oh, maybe Garret imports Canadian potato chips and is such a big fan of them.
President's Choice chips. It's in the museumofcrisps.com. Here's the President's Choice.
See, Sean Capri chimes in and says PC is actually a really great brand of chips.
Yeah, I'm seeing this. This is an actual thing. Poutine. Flavored, and then there's aged cheddar and onion. And, you know, all of these are pretty good flavors.
The President's Choice brand is owned by like the Loblaws Corporation, which is one of our grocery stores. So it's kind of like almost like the grocery store chain of products. So they kind of fit in there. So that's just hilarious that's just what my brain went to because I'm too used to President's Choice being a thing here in Canada. So,
but. Yeah. Wow. Okay. President's Choice chips. Now I learned
because that might also be something that gets tariffed when.
Oh no, it's 100% tariffed.
When Canada inevitably lobbies counter tariffs to Trump's tariffs against us. Like
I can't wait till all the tariffs go down. But I've never heard of these. I wonder if they're ever like exported out. I doubt it is.
Probably not. But.
Well, Frito-Lay is just such a dominant force in the U.S. and most of the world. That there's no slice of the pie.
That's true, but I didn't expect that people I know who live in Alabama would tell me about the Tim Hortons that's down the street from their house.
Yeah, the Tim Hortons. Yeah. No, I know that. Which isn't that a coffee shop?
It is a coffee shop.
Yeah. I like Tim Hortons.
But for the longest time, they were Canada only. So.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a newer thing. Tim Hortons.
Smokin Joe, of course, chiming in saying Canada has a lot of great snacks. My daughter especially loves ketchup chips.
You know, I ketchup flavored chips is pretty good. You know, I'm not gonna lie, the flavors are there. But
I still feel like they're inferior to all dressed, but I feel like they're pretty good.
What's all dressed?
Oh man. Oh, we need to fix this. Whenever Garret, if you ever come to an event, a carpool event, I will make sure that all dressed chips are there for you to try.
What's all dressed? Like ALLDRESS, like all dressed? Okay.
Yeah, because it's like an amalgamation of a bunch of different flavors, and they're so good.
Okay.
It's still. In fact, we sent some. I can't remember who, but someone in the community sent some to Lachlan one time, and now she can't get enough of them.
Oh, it's an actual like flavored on like Frito-Lay chips.
It's an actual flavor of chips.
Okay, and like. Yeah, I see it. It's very Canadian. It looks like I see a Canadian maple leaf on the ruffles.
Yeah.
All dressed. I think actually I have seen all dressed before. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's jogging my brain.
Yarding chimes in saying it's $10 a bag of PC chips here on Amazon.
No, I'm good. I'm good. It was first. So all dressed flavor was first introduced by Yum Yum, a Quebec-based company, in 1978. So.
Yeah, the real go-to if you want all dressed chips, all dressed Ruffles specifically. They're very good.
Oh yeah, okay, that's one of them. So.
But speaking of groceries, Garret.
Yes.
Your second thing also deals with groceries.
Oh yeah. No, let me let's get through the three things here. So the second thing is I got eggs from Costco. Now this is a journey, Ryan, because I think
I love that this is a thing. By the way.
Okay, I think you know that. There is actually a pretty big shortage of eggs. I don't know how it is in Canada, but certainly in the US and certainly in California, there's not much eggs to go around.
I was gonna say, like, I can get so many like the containers of brown eggs, but I can't get white eggs to save my life.
We actually prefer the brown eggs because they are free range organic eggs, but
but they're very expensive here, so I would prefer to actually have not the brown eggs.
So the Costco brown 2 dozen, so 24 eggs, $8.69, which is not terrible. It's not terrible.
It's terrible. That's twice the price at my local Shoppers Drug Mart in Canadian dollars.
Wait, so you can get $4 for 2 dozen for 24 eggs?
No, you're right. It's about $8 Canadian for 2 dozen.
Yes, so it's about this. I mean, like it's a little bit more expensive.
American dollars is a big difference between that and Canadian.
Yeah,
dollars.
Sorry, it's a little bit more expensive, but whatever. Okay, it's a good price for us. I actually went I was getting out of work and I was like, okay, and Fiona told me, hey, they might have eggs at Costco. right now. Why don't you go get some? So I actually immediately went on to the bus to go to the Costco in the city. And I was bolting because I called them up and they were like, I asked, do you have any eggs available? And it took them like a minute or so. And they were like, yeah, there is some eggs, but they're about to run out in the next 30 to 45 minutes, likely. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I like went on the bus, ran over, I grabbed the, it's on the other side of the Costco. Like you go into the entryway, it's like literally on the opposite corner. So I'm there just like running, like, you know, like a good jog, you know, like a good pace. And then I got over there, there was probably like 20 to 30 boxes left. And so grabbed one, nice, clean, uncracked eggs, grabbed them. And then I had to go back home and I didn't have my car with me. So I had to take the bus and then take the BART and then take the bus again. I felt like I was like kind of a target because all the people around me were looking at me with a backpack and then this just couple dozen of eggs. And they're like, eggs are hard to come by, yeah?
Yeah, what's going on with America? John wants to know what happened to all the eggs.
So there's been a disease in chickens.
Oh yeah, Yarden points it out here. Bird flu wiped out.
The bird flu like literally wiped out a lot of eggs or chickens. So it's a huge shortage right now.
Okay.
But yeah, there was a lot of people just looking at my eggs. They really wanted them. 2 bus drivers even like commented at me. One of them was just joking. He's like, I'll take those eggs. Haha. And I'm like, that's a joke, but not really. But I'm just going to keep these eggs right now. And then the second bus I went on, he looked at my eggs and he was like, how much? Like, how much? And I was like, no. Okay, let me just sit down. So there you go. It's been a crazy scene out here in the Bay Area with the egg shortage.
It's like you were like carrying around some kind of like super expensive rare artifact or something.
No joke. People have been stocking them, man. Like I saw people like grabbing, you know, like in COVID, during COVID times, like people bought a bunch of toilet paper.
Yep.
It's kind of like that mentality. Everyone's like buying eggs in like 2 or 3 of these 2 dozen boxes at Costco. It's insane. Right. But there you go. Okay.
Yeah, because those 20 or 30 boxes that you talked about were probably going to be sold out in like an hour, you said.
Yeah, no joke. And I was like, whew, thank goodness I got some eggs. We're good for the next 2 weeks or so.
That's good.
But anyways, okay. This third thing will be super quick. Okay. We won't go too long for this one. DeepSeek. It is a brand new thing. If people haven't looked up, it's pretty groundbreaking in the AI business. Basically, it is an AI model developed by this Chinese startup company. And they put out a technical paper beating out certain subjects against the big Google, Meta, OpenAI models at a fraction of a cost. It's way more efficient. So I would implore people to check that out because it really is hitting the market, especially NVIDIA's market. You can tell NVIDIA stock dropped like a lot today just because of that news. And I think a lot of people in the AI world are like, wow, that's really cool that someone that had, you know, there's been some restrictions on GPUs exporting to China from US. So it's actually pretty crazy to see that a Chinese group was able to do this in such limited resources. And there you go. That's what they get is, hey, we're on par with the biggest models at a fraction of a cost. And so it's pretty impactful actually right now. So there you go.
It was pretty so impactful that we actually did like a story on it on my network. I because I knew about this story as soon as you put down DeepSeek. I'm like, oh, I remember that from earlier today. We did a story on that.
Yeah. It's hitting all the news. It's hitting the market, like at least the like all the big companies in their markets. They're just like taking a hit today right now. I wonder if they'll just bounce it out later. But it's something to, and DeepSeek is open source. That's the biggest thing. You can see it in GitHub. You can download it locally. You can weigh the parameters however you want. Definitely not like a proprietary model like OpenAI, so, and ChatGPT. So there you go. That was interesting.
Those are the 3 things.
Those are the 3 things. 20 minutes in, we're done.
We're rolling. This show is rolling and cruising, and even though we've got
Let's go.
Here being like, what the hell is going on in here? Oh man,
you signed up for it.
And the best part is, Garrett, we're not even going to reading from the sacred text right away, Garrett.
Right.
Because there's a quest marker over there.
Oh,
I
there
want to
is.
go talk to the NPC over there to get that quest. Maybe we can complete it. Of course, we're going on a side quest because we're gonna do kind of like a chill show this week, where we're gonna talk about two games that one each that we recently played, and then we're gonna kind of talk about our topic that it is not a huge topic this week. So a little bit of a different show than usual from RPG Cave, but I'm excited about this, man, because
Me too.
We got to talk about some of this stuff because I'm going to talk about Romancing Saga 2 first.
Go for it.
And then we'll talk about the game that you played, Garrett, which you've been talking about on the show for a while through the Three Things segment, of course.
Yes.
But as folks know, I've been playing Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seventh, the remake of Romancing Saga 2. This, of course, I talked about, did I talk about it on the show before? I think I might have.
You mentioned it once.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Romancing Saga 2, again, is a full remake of the Super Famicom game. What's interesting about this game in particular, it's made by the developers who did the Trials of Mana remake, which I really liked. So I knew they kind of had like a pretty good pedigree going into this. And I remember trying out Romancing Saga 2 on the Super Famicom, because they also did like a re-release of that on like Xbox One and PS4.
Interesting.
Which is weird because they put that and Romancing Saga 2 up for $5, Garrett, on the digital stores if you want to just buy it. Which meant they also did like a full translation because these games originally never came out in North America. So they did like brand new translations for those and everything. But Romancing Saga 2 was a game I was really looking forward to. I played the demo last year and had a lot of fun with it. The combat is just a ton of fun in this game, which I'll get into in a second. But the story, it's kind of boring. Basically, there's these 7 heroes, right? And they went and saved the world from the termites, which are these big bugs. And after they defeated kind of the termite queen and basically like put the termites in the ground for good, they were basically framed for the murder of the king at the time, the emperor. So they kind of went into exile and they swore revenge against the kingdom. By fusing their bodies with demons. Is kind of how they were going to plot their revenge against everyone.
The heptopath traveler, as one would call it.
Exactly. So the story takes place as you taking the mantle of the current emperor. And what's interesting about this game, Garrett, is that it takes place over the course of 1,000 years. So it's a very slow revenge. It's not a quick revenge.
The slowest revenge I've ever heard.
Because sometimes you'll go do something in the world, Garrett, you'll finish a quest, and then all of a sudden it'll go to a black screen, and then it'll say 200 years later.
I like these writers. They're like, you know what? I like far enough away time, 100, 1,000 year, even numbers.
Well, they're different. No. They're not even numbers. They're different intervals. Like one is like 133 years later. One's like 298 years later. Like it eventually adds up to 1,000, but it's
okay.
Do
you see technology like advancing at all?
No, all the technology looks exactly the same
as 1,000 years ago. Okay.
But yeah, so you play as the emperor. And your town's under attack at the start of the game by one of the 7 heroes. So and a bunch of demons that they summon. So you have to try and stop them, but the emperor has this magic that allows them to basically pass down all of their memories and skills to whoever becomes the emperor next. So the whole like skill system and combat system kind of revolves around this idea that like over the course of the game, you're going to be replacing your emperor with other people that have like either different skill sets or different unlockable abilities that then add on to the abilities that you have gained over time, kind of like a roguelike in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
but
kind of.
There's not a situation where you go and lose all your stuff or anything like that.
Right.
Whenever you pick up after a time skip happens, or whenever a new person becomes the emperor, you still have all of the same equipment that you have before. And every character can use every single piece of equipment or use every spell, but they have to basically level their skill with that weapon or that spell over time. So you kind of like, so one of the things you want to do kind of early on with the Emperor, as an example, is like get them used to like using all the different weapon types and then leveling them up to a certain level. So then you're kind of proficient with everything. So then that way, like, regardless of what Emperor you kind of bring in, you're kind of like, you have a really solid base of different weapon and spell types with this.
Okay, I just have a question. Is there anything resetting between these emperors? Like, what's the major reset in this?
So fun fact, there is no major reset when the time skips. So, but there are certain things that do happen. So, for example, when a time skip happens, the first thing you have to do is choose a new emperor from a list of different emperor candidates.
Okay.
And then you have to then form a new party of heroes to go out in the world. But they're all kind of like palette swaps of the heroes before.
Yeah.
Like they don't change outfits or anything. They're all just same colored, but with different names. But what's interesting is that like you'll build up different, facilities in your empire that then will evolve over time. So they'll like your smithy, for example, you can level it up to get a new assortment of weapons, but it takes time for the smithy to basically be built. And that time will happen over the time skip.
Over 133 years. Got it.
Yeah. Or it might happen if you spend long enough in one current timeline, which also adds to the time to get to the 1,000 years.
So there's base building with it as well.
There is base building as well. Like
I love it. I love base building.
Very mild base building, but there's base building.
I'm down.
Yeah. So I thought that stuff was pretty interesting. What's also interesting as well is like there's a ton of different unlockable characters because you have to unlock the other classes or recruit your other allies in the world by doing different quests. And your emperor sometimes has to be a specific gender or a specific character class in order to proceed through it. Like there's this one mission that requires like a pirate emperor to be able to sail like this boat around. So you have to eventually hire the pirate class. But in order to hire the pirate class, you have to get like a certain era after completing this subset of side quests that requires a female emperor in order to get.
So it's like specific conditions in order to like unlock a class.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's a lot of really, really interesting mechanics in like just the quest design in this game. But at the same time, you can also kind of pigeonhole yourself a little bit because if you don't know which quests trigger the time skips, because it's certain quests that cause the time skips to happen, what'll end up happening is the more time skips that happen, the more powerful the 7 heroes become. So you have to like, there's like an emphasis for you to try and defeat them before kind of the 1,000 years pass, or else they'll become like uber difficult.
And, but you don't know which quests are going to do the time skip? Is that what you said? That's rough.
But you can, kind of save scum it a little bit by saving before handing in quests.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you suspect one might trigger a time skip, you might just hit that save button and fill that in. The combat is really deep as well. It's like really strategic as well, where you bring like 5 of your allies into battle at a time, which is pretty cool. And you have like different formations, and different emperors will learn different formations that you can kind of move all your units in to position them better, to either give them attack bonuses or to make sure that they get like, you can position your like weaker units in the back so that they don't get hit.
So are these grid-based tactical?
No, it's more. It's actually closer to something like Final Fantasy, where it's just a turn-based battle, but you've got these different formations you can put your characters in.
Got it. Okay.
In the battle. Okay. But then they have all the enemies have weak points, like in Persona, and when you exploit the weak points, they then get bumped down in the turn order, so you get like extra attacks on them and stuff like that. So all in all, like the combat system is like super deep and fun, and the battles go very quick. Like they are a snap of the finger. The battle is basically finished in this game. Like you aren't in the longest battle I was in that's not a boss battle was like 20 seconds. So
wow, that's pretty fast.
It goes very, very fast. The boss battles are a little bit longer, but even them, they're not as long as like anything you'd find from like an Atlas game or whatever. Right. So I was really hooked on the combat with this game, Garrett, and the different elements, but I don't know. The story wasn't really grabbing me. And by the time I got to the 20-hour mark, I was kind of like, all right, I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, I kind of want this game to be over now.
What year were you in? Like,
I was in the year 1523.
So there's like really no ending then.
Well, it ends in the year 2000.
Oh, 2000. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I was like halfway through in terms of years, which then I looked at a walkthrough year and I was only about halfway through the game at the 20-hour mark because there was still like 20 more hours to go of stuff to do. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you like get to the point of like midpoint, you're like, I kind of want this to be over. It's just like, ooh, you're not going to like that last half as much then. So yeah, it makes sense.
Because like I said, I think it had like a really, really good first half. And honestly, if this game was 25 hours long, I probably would have loved it. It probably would have been like up there with like one of my favorite RPGs from last year.
Wow.
But because it goes on, it just keeps droning on. It just keeps going. I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to keep playing this game.
Do you think that's just the fault of, it's just a remake of an older game that just has a certain tempo, a certain pacing, as you will?
Maybe. I definitely think it's from the story perspective. I definitely it felt the most like it was an old game where it's such a throwaway story, which just happened on a lot of Square role-playing games on in the Super Nintendo area. It was definitely like the Chrono Triggers or the Final Fantasy VIs were like the rarer of the RPGs in that era, where a lot of them just had like not so like very poor narratives with not so great dialogue and things like that. So.
I'm hearing pretty similar things with Dragon Quest III, the HD 2D remake, where it's like, oh, it looks really great, it plays really great, but it's Dragon Quest III. It's a remake of an old RPG that, it's simplified, it's its own pacing. It doesn't have its, updated quality of life features or maybe like faster pacing, I guess, that we have today compared to, back in the 90s and 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I wanted to highlight it here because I do think there's a good game in here. Like I said, I wish that it was a much tighter experience. And I wish with the remake, they would have found a way to maybe rather than doing kind of like a straight port of this, like maybe try and, rein in some of the gameplay elements a little bit. So it wasn't, didn't feel as long, or just it didn't kind of wear out its welcome. So this game has been put on the shelf. It's not abandoned because I'm open to the possibility that if I'm like in the mood to return to this game, I'll just go back to it and see where it goes from there. But this game was good. But first of all, it's the best Saga game I've ever played. But it's still, that still doesn't say much, Garrett, because as you know, we're not the biggest fans of Saga over here. So
I don't think a lot of people are. What were the reviews like for Romancing Saga 2 Remake?
Really good. They were like 82s.
That's what.
But a lot of them kind of say the same things that I talk about, where it's just like, especially because the characters are so interchangeable too, because you have to remember you're just picking kind of like random characters. So every time that the time skips, that you just don't really get attached to anyone or really anything in the storyline. So I think that kind of is where it falls apart. So I think the combat can only kind of carry it so far.
Yeah,
it's kind of how I felt about it. But.
And I like the mentality of okay, I'm kind of just over with this. I'm not, trying to push myself to finish it, especially at 50%. I think it's good to shelf that. So
yeah,
cool.
I think so too. Because like I said, if I kept playing it, I was I really felt like I was gonna I was forcing myself to play it, because I played for a couple hours after I came to that realization, Garrett, and I was just I'm done. I can't do this.
Got it. And you played it on PS5, right?
I did. Yes.
Cool. Yeah. And I think I saw it on sale once or twice, so it's starting to hit that sales part of the Square Enix.
I don't imagine the sales on this game were super high, so it'd probably go on sale pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think typically what happens with Square Enix games, it'll go on sale a few months later, and then it'll kind of chisel down to maybe 50% off. And it'll be there for a good long time. And then maybe sometimes it does more than half, but that's very rare. Square Enix seems to be pretty happy with their sales strategy every time. It seems like so.
Yeah. Cool. Unless your name is Life is Strange Double Exposure, which that went on sale right away.
Yeah, that one was kind of rough. And I'm a Life is Strange fan, and I saw the
Same.
reviews, and I'm like, I'm good right now.
Yeah. There's one of these questions that are coming up. We'll probably actually end up talking about Life is Strange again. But Garret,
Interesting.
Tell me about Mario and Luigi. You finally finished it.
I did. I finished it. It was
You've been talking on the show for weeks as well.
Well, because it was been my commuter game for so long. And actually, because I have increased frequency going to the office now every week, I have a little bit more time to get into my commuter games, which is great. I am into Zelda 2 right now.
Yes.
I beat the first palace. It is very hard. But anyways, I'm not going to talk about Zelda 2 right now.
We're going to later.
Sure, later. But Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minion. Yes, it is the 3DS version of the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga that originally came out on GBA, right? And it's on Nintendo Switch. This one is, of course, as everyone knows, it's kind of a spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG.
Yep.
Isn't it the first of the Mario and Luigi line?
It is, yes. This was the first one they made. Because don't get me wrong, they made Paper Mario first, the original on N64.
They did, yes.
And this was kind of the game that came after that.
Yeah, and so, I got into this and like, okay, I really like Super Mario RPG. Let me try this one out. Of course, on the 3DS, probably the best version that you're going to play out of it. And I really enjoyed this game. I don't know what really gravitated me towards this. I think, first, the combat is very similar to Super Mario RPG, and it's only just Mario and Luigi, right? And so you just have those, you have your kind of your button prompts, and it's a turn-based battle against just enemies that you kind of encounter throughout the world. It's, like you have to hit the right button prompts in order to get extra damage. And if you do not hit those button prompts, you can still have a little bit of damage, but it's not really passable. You really got to hit those button prompts in this game as opposed to a Super Mario RPG. But anyways, they have, attack and hammer power moves, but they also have like these dual moves that they do together. And this is kind of the flavor of this game. Basically, you build more and more movesets as you go throughout the game. But these types of button prompts with a dual like attack with both Luigi and Mario, it gets pretty complicated. And so I wouldn't say probably as complicated as like Legend of Dragoon or whatever, but
right.
It does get pretty complicated with trying to smash both buttons at the same time, or like releasing one and hitting the other. You kind of have to just kind of memorize it and hope for the best.
Yeah, because it gives you the button prompts on screen, but it's not nearly as fast as you need to actually be able to react to.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes I really do mess up on those dual like power movements. There is like a practicing session that you can get into, so it's like a practice mode. If you feel like you're kind of bent out of shape on some of these super powerful moves. But other than that, it's probably the major driver of damage that you're going to get against bosses throughout this game. And so how the story goes with this one, Peach is kind of kidnapped as well, and the Beanstar is as well, and Bowser's just messed up, like gets destroyed. And with the Beanstar Kingdom or whatever, there's a villain over there, and so Mario and Luigi hops on over to the Bean Kingdom and goes through that world instead of the Mushroom Kingdom. And there's cute little areas. It's just like a top-down overworld. A little bit of platforming involved. The A button is for Mario to, in his actions, and the B button is only Luigi. And of course, that's kind of the flavor of Mario and Luigi itself. So.
Like even when you're exploring the world too, because you have to when you're jumping over stuff, it's like, well, you got to press the A button for Mario and press the B button for Luigi.
Exactly. So, and then there's also going to be extra action moves that you learn throughout the game, like high jump, spinning, and then get to the end. There's a shock move and a fire move for Luigi and Mario. In the old game in GBA, as I recall it, it looks like you have to press the trigger button or something like that, or I actually can't recall, but you basically have to manually switch to different like action moves in order to get through platforming and obstacles. In the 3DS one, you can open the bottom screen as like, and it's just all the buttons right there. So you can literally just touch all the different types of moves that you want to do. It really does help you in the platforming of this game. There's a lot of time trials. There's a lot of like instant like actions you kind of need to do in this game. And with the way that the 3DS version is laid out, it plays I think pretty smoothly. So I think that's a big bonus. I did like the overworld map as well on the bottom of the screen. I love that I was able to zoom in and zoom out and then use my finger to like look around to see which areas have been explored and which ones have not been. Of course, you go through a story that I think the characters are just hilarious. I think both Mario and Luigi are hilarious. I think the beans are hilarious. They have such dry humor. They make fun of Luigi like so much. Like he's like the kind of the brother
like
that's
the punching bag.
He is literally the punching bag throughout this game. I absolutely love it. Enemy types, there's a huge array of enemies in this game that you know, it's a matter of flying enemies or on the ground, and then of course you need to dodge their attacks a lot as well, and maybe in terms of jumping or hitting them at the right time with the hammer. It's all pretty fun. I feel like they engaged you pretty well with the enemy types. There is a leveling up system. I find the leveling up system pretty standard compared to like other RPGs. You raise up in stats, and then you can also choose one of the stats you want to increase, and it's like kind of like a slot machine where it like goes through like a randomizer, like, hey, you can get 1 point or 2 points up and stuff like that. But other than that, it's a pretty standard thing to go through. I think the most challenging, the most fun part about this game is the bosses. The bosses in this game, you really need to learn their moves, especially in the later bosses. I remember probably the last area, I was like going through it, and my thumb was like I felt like affliction, like it was getting pretty hard.
They needed to mail you one of those white gloves that they mailed to all those people who complained about, you know, Mario Party on the N64.
Yeah,
where you
pretty
had to,
much
you know, use the joystick too much.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Basically, the last level is the Bowser like kingdom, or not kingdom, it's his float or whatever. You have to face all of the, what are they called? The Bowser's kids? I don't know.
The Koopa kids.
The Koopa kids. Okay. Yeah. You have to face all of them. You have to face some of them multiple times. And their enemy like moveset some of them are ridiculous. Which one's the female one again? Is it Wendy?
Yes, it's Wendy. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Wendy gave me so much trouble. So basically, she shoots these rings, these highlighted rings, both at Mario and Luigi, like in quick succession, and you have to jump like over the rings to make sure. You jump over the ring first, and now you're at the center of the ring, and then the ring closes up. So you have to make sure you jump, and then you jump again. And if you don't do that, you'll get it's like 2 or 3 hits, and Mario and Luigi die. It's like it's pretty hardcore. And she also makes copies of herself, like 1 into 4 of her, and then you have to follow which one's the real one, which is not that bad. But once you get to the second wave, she does 6 of them, and then she twirls around, making it impossible to see where she went.
Great. And there's probably some kind of penalty if you get it wrong too.
Well, the penalty is you waste a move. Like if you attack like a ghost, it's just like, oh, it's just, that's not there anymore. And then once you dwindle her ghost down, she'll just re-up it. Yeah. It's like down to like less than 3. Okay, let me put another, replenish my ghosts. And I'm just like, man, this is crazy. So kind of the strategy is for that is that you hit one of the ghosts to to identify where she is, because she rotates every turn. Mm-hmm. So you don't know where she is unless you have a specific pattern that you knocked out. But anyways, I'm getting too far in depth with Wendy boss. The last boss was pretty hard as well.
Yep.
That was pretty notorious.
You talked about it a lot. You were just like, I just want this game to be over. I just want to kill this boss.
Well, it kept killing me, and like it would be like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes ish in, not 20 minutes, that's too long. I would say like 5 minutes each. Okay. So like you get into the boss, and then sometimes you hit the second wave and then you die or whatever. So what you have to do in the last boss is like you have 2 hands and a helmet, and you have to get rid of all 3 in order the heart to open. But the heart opens at a very limited time, and then it'll close back up and replenish the hands and the head. And then so I kind of got through that maybe like 10 times before I got it down. It was a pretty hard boss. So I would say, yes, it is a harder game at the end. There is an easy mode. If you think it's a little too difficult or too frustrating, you can go for that. But man, other than that, I really enjoyed this. I actually did enjoy it a little bit more than Super Mario RPG. It could be because, the age of Super Mario RPG was a little too much in terms of just like, I don't know, the pacing of it and what you have to do in that game. It's a little odd. Yeah. And I didn't really care too much about the combat of Super Mario RPG compared to this one. I don't know. It just really rang with me. It's like how difficult it was to get through, especially in those last bosses.
Get ready for the people in the comments to yell at you about that, by the way.
Come at me. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure Super Mario RPG was great for its time, and it was revolutionary. I just think as a first-time player playing it and the remake on the Switch, it was just like, okay, that was fine. That was a good game.
Well, because I think that remake was very literal with it, whereas I think what you described with this version, this one, it felt like they made like some really, really positive moves with the gameplay.
For sure.
And Jordan, of course, points out the mob is coming after you, Garrett.
Let's go. Yeah.
I know a lot of people on our Discord love Super Mario RPG, so.
They do. I don't know what's...
I mean, they also like Final Fantasy X, though, Garrett.
They do. I don't know. Maybe the public's wrong.
Riley King says, I'm coming for you, Garrett.
Let's go.
You're making all kinds of friends today.
I love it. But anyways, okay, yeah, that's my spiel of
I was really worried though, Garrett, that you coming into tonight that you would be like, hey, that the final boss, you were going to tell me that the final boss ruined the experience for you. But I'm glad that you actually enjoyed it despite the final boss being kind of annoying.
I think I loved the pain. I don't know, I think if I get deep enough into a Dark Souls game or Elden Ring, I think I would enjoy it.
Oh my god!
I just have to get
for this.
I just have to get deep enough, like understand the combat, understand what's happening. Because I love Shin Megami Tensei series a lot. Once I understand the combat and gameplay, and then if a boss is like crazy difficult or too much, I'm like, yeah, I want to figure this out. I want to get through it. That's what I felt with like the last few bosses with this game. I was like, I'm not going to easy mode. I'm figuring this out. And and sometimes I just ran out of items just because I didn't stock up on items on the last area. So I was really like handicapped here. So anyways,
that's how you know you're a pro gamer, because you got through it having hardly any items though, Yeah,
I just had a few mushrooms. Oh, a great item type, by the way, the nuts. You got the nuts, the super nuts, the ultra nuts. It's HP to both Mario and Luigi. Great item type.
Nice.
So,
yeah. Not mushrooms, of course. No, we can't
have
mushrooms
are the single ones. So
I know.
Yeah. And then there's syrup. Syrup will replenishes your magic points, your SP. Right. In this case.
Now, Bradley King asked the question in the chat: do you also hate Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door?
I did not play that one yet. So
okay.
Yeah.
It's only me that doesn't like that game. All right, fair enough.
Well, I hear that there's some refreshing opinions of that game too. Yeah. Recently, so
I think people are starting to come around on that game.
I'll be interested playing that game.
Yeah, just like I think people are coming around on Zelda too. People actually like that game now.
Sure,
well, that's a whole conversation we're gonna have in the future, Garrett. I can't wait for that. But anyways, we can't wait any longer, Garrett. We're 50 minutes into the show, and we haven't done our topic yet. So it's now time to read from the sacred text. Oh. I swear we'll make this quick. We don't
make
have
this
time
quick. Don't worry.
But I wanted to at least talk about it at least a little bit.
Of course.
So We had the Xbox Developer Direct that happened this week, Garrett.
Yes.
We both got our predictions wrong for it, by the way. As far as, because we both made a prediction about it, and we both got it wrong. Because the mystery game was actually not an RPG at all. It was Ninja Gaiden 4. And I can't wait for that game.
I think you were close. It was a Japanese, well, of course.
We knew it was a Japanese game because of Jez Corden, but...
That's true.
The only reason why I didn't put the pieces together about Ninja Gaiden being that game was because we already had that other Ninja Gaiden game announced. And I'm like, there's no way they'll announce 2 more Ninja Gaiden games on top of the Ninja Gaiden game they just announced. But
Ninja Gaiden.
But it turns out, Garrett, they announced 2 more Ninja Gaiden games and one of them shadow dropped. So...
And then good for Platinum Games coming in behind the scenes with Ninja Theory on the new Ninja Gaiden.
You mean Team Ninja?
Game. Team Ninja, sorry, not Ninja Theory.
Is a completely different studio.
I'm so sorry. I get those two mixed up. That's really bad of me. But yeah, Team Ninja, you're right.
Yeah, the director on the game, though, is from Team Ninja, though. So, like, I feel like they're going to be, like, I wonder how much Platinum's actually involved, because I feel like it's, like, the direction is
Team
done
Ninja.
by Team Ninja, which I think is a good thing, because I think it'll, like...
Definitely.
I'm glad that it's not, like, Platinum doesn't have too much free reign with this one, because there might be the possibility of like bad Platinum coming about, because they're like Platinum's like 50-50 on their games. Like either
they are really hit and miss.
You either get Bayonetta 3 or you get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan, and there's
Legend of Korra.
Or Legend of Korra. Oh my God! That's a bad game too. Also, shout out to Riley King, who just rolled credits on Ninja Gaiden Black 2. Congratulations!
Applause.
That game's so
good.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. Because we're here to talk about the RPG that we got a deep dive during the Developer Direct. We wanted to talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And Garrett, I compiled fun facts for this episode.
I like the fun facts. Keep it coming.
All right. So first off, it's releasing on April 24th. It's coming to Xbox, PS5, and PC, and it's Game Pass Day 1. So I'm able to play it, Garrett. I can't buy games this year, but I do have Game Pass. So.
Oh, really? When does that end? Your Game Pass?
It ends in June.
Okay. June. Got it.
And for full transparency, this is not Game Pass I paid for. It was Game Pass provided to us by Xbox Canada when I was still a member of the Xbox Drive over a year ago. So
it's just been this long.
No, they gave me basically 2 years back in 2023, and it'll finally run out in June.
Yeah, 2023 was the year of like they were just handing out Game Pass left and right. Here's a Game Pass. Here's a Game Pass. Not so much these days. I think
not so much. But April 24th, I think we're pretty excited about this one. It's being developed by Sandfall Interactive. It's their very first game, Garrett.
It's crazy.
Interestingly enough, we learned during the Developer Direct, which, by the way, I think that was a really good, like, almost like documentary style look at this game.
For sure.
This game is made by 6 people with previous experience working on Ubisoft titles. The specific ones, I will note, Garrett, The Division 2, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Ghost Recon Breakpoint are the 3 games.
So Ghost Recon games. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and basically all Tom Clancy, essentially.
Right.
Is what the developers kind of worked on. In fact, what's interesting is on their website, Garrett, if you go there, they have the 6 people that are working on the game, and they have all of their favorite games listed there. And none of them are Ubisoft games. They're all like it's Celeste or Final Fantasy VIII is the main director's one of his favorite games.
Of course it is. Yes.
So I had to throw that in there for Awesome Dave specifically. But the game's setting, it's inspired by the Belle Epoque period in France. And I had to go and look this up because I had no idea what this reference meant.
Me neither.
But this is basically the time period after Napoleon's reign ended in 1871 until the year 1910, basically until World War I happened.
Okay.
So it's that kind of like era, like late 1800s era France mixed with a fantasy setting. Like those two are like jammed together to make one thing.
Yeah, I can totally see it. It gives me what was that one steampunk game in PlayStation? I forgot that came out.
The Order 1886?
Yeah, it really reminded me of the Order, or like the vibe of it reminded me a little bit of that. So, that time period.
Yeah. So the game is inspired. Their inspirations are taken from Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era turn-based Japanese role-playing games.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we all know what that is.
Yeah, so the games that specifically they listed, Lost Odyssey and Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, okay.
Were the kind of the two major inspirations for this game. Which is interesting, of course, because this makes sense as to why like Xbox is publishing it, because they wanted kind of like what they did with Ninja Gaiden, because Xbox is publishing Ninja Gaiden 4. I don't know if people
I did not know that.
That's
okay. Yeah.
Because they published also Ninja Gaiden 2 Black as well. That's why both are on Game Pass day one, because I guess they worked out because Microsoft is like funding the development of that game, which is crazy to think about.
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I think they're trying to go for like the play of like Xbox 360 era games. They got Ninja Gaiden coming back, and then you've got like a Lost Odyssey inspired game here with Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which is interesting. So the game itself is going to be about 30 hours long, they said. Okay. That's what they're estimating. There is a full world map, and they were very, very proud of this, Garrett, because most modern role-playing games don't have a world map like old role-playing games did, where you like walk around the map and like, stuff happens there. So they did this with like a full like zoomed out 3D world map, and they showed it off a little bit in the trailer. They said this map is huge, by the way, so you're going to want like this like transport that we're going to give you.
Yeah, this flying fat man thing, right?
That then talks to you.
That talks to you, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked pretty artsy, really cool from that standpoint.
I just thought it was pretty cool because, again, like I said, in modern games we don't typically have this. So
that's true.
The story revolves around this like it's not a post-apocalyptic game, but it almost feels like it, where every single year a creature known as the Paintress will write a new number that will cause everyone that age or higher to instantly turn to dust. There have been multiple attempts to stop the Paintress, but no team has returned alive. It is now time for the Expedition 33 to depart and stop her, because, of course, the year that the current number is 33. So anyone older than 33, like myself, are instantly turned to dust and killed. Kind of like Thanos style.
Yeah. So. Interesting. And you do see some of the kind of the old dust bodies in this trailer.
Yeah.
Of course, the characters are.
We even got to see a character turn to dust in this one.
Yes, we did. So
yeah,
it's a quite interesting concept. I think it's novel for sure. It reminds me a little bit of, a little bit of Freedom Wars, where there's like a time limit type of deal. Or I guess that's the opposite. You have time due in a prison, but
yeah.
In
fact, you know what it reminds me most of all, Garrett? Have you seen the movie Logan's Run?
I have not.
Okay. That Logan's Run is a movie from the 70s, and it's a sci-fi movie. It's about this very fancy future where there's a ton of future tech and stuff like that. But when you turn 30, there's a little beeper, like a little light that shines on your hand that then indicates that you were to basically be, ascending to Carousel, which, spoiler alert for Logan's Run, means they sacrifice you in a pit of fire, essentially.
Oh goodness!
Yes, because your spirit is ascending to Carousel, which is kind of like their version of heaven. So when a dude who's not 30 suddenly has this thing come up, he has to try and escape the basically being sent to Carousel by mistake. Because he's only 26 years old, Garrett. He's not 30. He's still got four good years left before they murder him.
Gotcha. Sounds good. But anyways, okay. So you went through the story a little bit. My impression of this game is that it looks cool. It looks good. When you give me the story, the concept, you give me the characters, I'm still a little bit ambiguous. Like I'm still a little bit, what is exactly happening? I'm not sure. They only give us surface level stuff with the story. Definitely.
This was definitely like them trying to show off all the different features in the game, like the combat or the exploration, and less about the story stuff, which I kind of appreciate. Like I like the fact that they didn't go too deep with the story, because I kind of want to discover a lot of those mysteries of why this all is happening and stuff on my own when the game comes out.
Yeah, no, 100%. Did they mention anything about like character development, leveling up, or classes?
Yep, they showed off some of the skill trees.
Yeah.
But they didn't really go too deep with it.
Yeah, I did see a skill tree or two, but nothing super specific with that. So
all I know is it looks way less complicated than like the Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, no,
or
it's
the
not
Final
like
Fantasy 13 leveling system or something like that. Right?
There's just a few circles. That's what I recall from that tree.
Yeah, it seems very streamlined in a good way.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, there's also the combat looks really awesome as well because it's turn-based, fully turn-based, but it's kind of like Mario Luigi or Lost Odyssey or Legend of Dragoon, where you've got these like attacks. Like when you execute an attack, you then have to like time the button presses with the button prompts that come up on screen in order to do some of your actions or deal extra damage. But also it works defensively as well because you can like fully dodge or parry enemy attacks this way as well, which is super cool.
Yeah, I saw them like jumping or kind of like defense or whatever when there was an enemy like shaking the ground. Looked pretty cool. Yeah, the combat, I think it just looks just solid, something that I'll enjoy. So
yeah. I think it really is good to your point, Garrett. I think what's really going to come down to with this game, because I know Yarden in the chat says this game looks incredible. I predict it'll be in the Game of the Year discussions, and I think you're onto something here, Yarden, because I think it's really just going to come down to how good the narrative is in this game.
Yes, absolutely.
Because as I kind of talked about with Romancing Saga 2, even if the combat is super fun, at the 30-hour mark, you're going to be pretty sick of that combat if there's nothing else kind of like, keep grounding you to it or making you enjoy that experience, whether it is the story or characters or even just the world exploration or whatever kind of gets its hooks into you. I think that's going to really tell the tale as to like whether or not this is like a game we talk about in our RPG of the Year show at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did watch the in-depth trailer again, and of course we went through many different aspects of this game. Now, I can see it being really like very receptive, very well, good response. I also do see though, okay, this is their first game.
Yep,
I see that a little bit. I just see the way they just pace the interaction with the characters or the gameplay or the world is just like, okay, that looks like a developer's first game, which isn't bad. It's just keep that in the back of your mind that this isn't gonna. I think this game has a lot of potential. I think the sequel can have a bigger potential as well.
Yeah, it's kind of how I feel about Sea of Stars in that.
Yes, definitely. Because
like even though Sea of Stars wasn't Sabotage's first game, it was their second game, but it almost felt like their first because it was so different from The Messenger and it was an RPG and there was a lot of faults that really felt like they happened because it was their first time doing a game like that. So this might have a similar trajectory to Sea of Stars after it comes out.
Yeah, I'll be interested. Yeah, again, I do like the gameplay. It's interesting to see the numbers pop out. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so artistic, so cool. And then it's like, okay, let's attack 4,000, 5,000. I'm just like, okay, we're just in Borderlands now.
Yep.
Just numbers popping out. So
it's an RPG, man, through and through.
It is.
They were very inspired by, and I love when they said this, the games that they grew up with, which of course being PS3 and Xbox 360 RPGs, Garrett, which just makes me feel old when they talked about that.
Don't say that. Didn't they also they were coming to? It's very interesting how this game got started, but didn't it was just one guy and a couple guys just bouncing off ideas. And then the third guy came in and is like, I quit my job because this looks so cool. Yep. Like when I heard that, I was like, all right, that's pretty risky, but sure.
Yeah, they started assembling like the 6-person crew almost like it was like Ocean's 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
I loved how they kind of did that with like the look during the developer direct was like that.
It's pretty, I find that to be very like a rare situation in the games industry where he's like, we got this 6 people together. Now we have this very cool I would say top notch, but it looks well produced game, like RPG with the backing of Xbox.
Microsoft's throwing money at this game.
Yeah, so. Microsoft throwing at exactly.
You can tell.
maybe they have some sort of incentives from the French government. I know a lot of European government do support like arts, game development. So I wouldn't be surprised there. I did enjoy the look of the character models. It reminds me of like We Happy Few in a sense, or like Dishonored a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely see the Dishonored connection for sure.
Yeah. But it looks a little bit more like the face models look a little bit more detailed, a little bit more artistic though too.
Yeah.
Which I like to see. So yeah, I'm pretty interested in this game, man. Looking good.
I can't wait. So April 24th, it's just around the corner. We'll definitely be talking about this game, I think, after it comes out. I'm interested to maybe even think about the idea of playing it in French with subtitles, because it feels
that'll be
French.
Good. Yeah.
Looking at it, and I'm like, this could be interesting playing this game in French.
It looks like a very French, not inspired, but a French-based game. Like, just seeing the art and then like kind of the melding of like, I would say like industry or like modernism with just flat out like classical art. I feel like that's very French for sure, and especially telling of this time period as well. So it looks really cool. Can't wait,
man. Yeah, can't wait. So we got that down the road to look forward to. And now let's hear from the NPCs, Garrett, the non-podcast characters. We're going to start with Yarden, who has a question where he talks about a little bit about Expedition 33 and then actually has a separate question. So Yarden says, Expedition 33 is the first game in quite a while where I've seen people who usually have no interest in RPGs take notice. I think this has a lot to do with the game's very intriguing story setup of the Paintress and her monolith. We usually choose games based on based on established franchises or favorite characters. Can you recall a game that you played solely because of the story? So that's interesting. First of all, to Yarden's point, I've been seeing a lot of people, you're right, Yarden, who are not interested in role-playing games at all, being like, I could play this game. This game looks fun.
Yeah. I think everyone initially looked at this game, and then the people who were not into RPGs, they're like, that looks super cool. Yeah. And then when the gameplay started, the RPG fans are like, oh, wait, it's an RPG. In this kind of like very AAA-esque, type of format. So is there any other games solely on the story? I mean, for me, it's really, as he said, Life is Strange, like visual novels or choice-based games, mainly about story. I think those are given, though. Those are the main things about those games.
I was going to say, I'm going to give you two, Yarden. I'm going to say the original Life is Strange, because it wasn't really a franchise when the original came out. And I remember kind of seeing like the story trailers for it. I was like, oh, that story seems really interesting and cool. So I like bought the 5-episode pack day one, and I dove into it, and I loved it for the story. Like that was the main reason I played it, was for the story. And it was honestly my personal favorite game that I played in 2015. With a lot of other good games coming out there, like The Witcher 3. But the other one I'll throw out there is Danganronpa, because again, to your point, Garrett, it's a visual novel. But it's also like a detective game and stuff like that. But I wasn't interested. I didn't really care about those elements. I just was really interested in it for the story about these like high school kids locked in a high school with a murderous teddy bear who's trying to, convince the high schoolers to murder each other so that they can leave. So those are my picks, are Danganronpa and Life is Strange. I love both those for the story. And that was like the main thing that drew me to them specifically, was the story.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to think of an RPG that really, I gravitate towards it because of the story. I think of Child of Light a little bit. Initially, Xenoblade, it was really about the gameplay in the world initially when I was looking at the trailers. As I played all the game, like throughout each of the games, as I got to the third one, I was like, I mean, the gameplay is fine. It's passable, but it's really the story and characters that I'm really in for it. And I think I just go through it by experience, not a matter of seeing a trailer, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing I could think of in terms of RPGs.
Nice. Yeah. As far as like a role-playing game, I don't know if there's one that wasn't like in an established franchise that I was going into it specifically because I was interested in the story. Maybe something like Mass Effect probably falls under the scout, but also it was just because of the pedigree of BioWare at that point. So I don't know if that really counts in this instance. But moving on, we got Ryu, who says, with the Tales of Grace's F remaster out, what other Tales game do you want to see Bandai Namco remaster next? I would love to see either see Fantasia or Abyss remastered next, since Abyss is the only on the PlayStation 2 and the 3DS, and Fantasia could use a full overhaul based on how dated the combat is now. Which is interesting you say this, Ryu, because literally today, after you posted this comment, because I saw when this comment was posted, but then I noticed afterwards the news came out that Tales of the Abyss has been re-registered for its trademark.
Oh, okay. Future science.
Which Bandai Namco does not do unless they're going to do a re-release, because that was the same thing happened when Tales of Grace's F got announced. The same thing happened with Tales of Symphonia was announced. So I think that's a sign that Tales of the Abyss is probably going to happen later this year, or at least be announced this year.
Cool.
Maybe
Sounds
for
good.
next year.
Another Tales remaster. Let's go.
Yeah. Now, we actually got this question, a similar question last week from Kevin.
Yes, we did.
So I already went over my answers, but just to recap it as far as me being the Tales guy here, I would love to see Tales of Xillia 1 and 2 kind of be like a double pack. Those are like the late PlayStation 3 era Tales games. I think they're very, very good. And then my other answer would be Tales of Rebirth from the PlayStation 2. It never got like a North American release. It only came out in Japan. So I'd love for them to do like a full translation with like even just a remaster of that game with an English translation. I think would be super cool. So
cool.
Those are my answers. Or even like Tales of Innocence, which was only on the DS, maybe coming over to a modern console, I think would be pretty cool too. But final question of the week, Garrett, comes to us from Savoy Prime, who says, with the announcement of Sega filing trademarks for Skies of Arcadia and Eternal Arcadia, where do you gauge your interest in playing the game if it comes west? If it is one of my goats, I played it on the Dreamcast and purchased it again on the GameCube. I'm seriously hoping this leads to a remaster, because I would definitely buy it for a third time. Now, Garrett, I don't believe that either of us have played Skies of Arcadia, correct?
That's a name I've heard of. I did not know it was on initially the Dreamcast and then later GameCube.
Yeah, it got after the Dreamcast failed, it got ported to the GameCube.
Interesting. Oh, actually, when I was going through some emulation, I think I saw Skies of Arcadia is like one of the only like bigger RPGs on the Dreamcast, right?
It is.
Like, yeah.
It's also stupidly expensive. This game is very expensive if you were to go and buy a physical copy of it. But especially the GameCube version, which they added extra stuff to it. Okay. So it's like the definitive version of the game, but it's also like double the price of the Dreamcast version, which was already expensive. So,
got it.
As far as Savoy Prime's question, I would be interested in trying Stars of Arcadia if they did a remake of it. Sure, I think that would be pretty cool. Do I think it's likely? I'm 50-50 on that. Sega, when they've redone trademarks, is either A, because they've got a remake, or like a spiritual successor coming, like what they did with Golden Axe or Crazy Taxi when we saw those get their trademarks get renewed and then they announced new games. But they also like to sell merch of their games that they aren't making new games of. So this might just be for merch purposes, or there might be a mobile Skies of Arcadia game coming, as an example. So
got it.
It could be any number of things. So I would say it's 50-50 that this actually happens, but I don't know. I'm interested in playing it if this happens. Garrett, would you be interested in trying it out, as the question asks?
I would be interested. Now, when I say I would be interested, just know that I have many other games and many other RPGs to play that I already own in my backlog. So it would take an awful lot of convincing to get me into getting Skies of Arcadia like day one or something like that. But, down the road, if it's very good reception and it's on, every platform and it's on sale, why not? I was just kind of looking through the developer. It looks like it was Overworks, who is one of the divisions of Sega. Yep.
Yeah, it's like a Sega first-party role-playing game.
Yeah.
It was kind of their first one after Shining Force 3 came out, because they hadn't done other than like Phantasy Star Online, which is an MMO. I don't really count it in the same
Right.
Type is like traditional RPG. So it was like kind of their last hurrah, like a Sega specific RPG.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like, they kind of there's no Overworks does not exist anymore. So yeah, I wonder who would do this remake. I guess it would be
just a remaster, because it could just be
a remaster. Yeah. Then that would be like an easier port to do. There's a lot of Sega's really thinking about revitalizing the classics. So I wonder if Skies Arcade is just part of this revitalization. I don't know.
What if they got one of the developers that Atlas publishes to develop this game? Like develop
you can get Vanillaware into it, or one of the Atlas teams, or even was it the Yakuza team?
Yeah. Or I know that Atlas has a couple other RPG studios that they work with from time to time. Mm-hmm. I'm just drawing blanks as to who they are, but like that could be a possibility too.
They can always contract it out to another team, like what they did with Trails of Mana.
Yeah.
You could do something like that. So.
Yeah. Just not CyberConnect 2. They
or
don't
Visions of Mana. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I think there's definitely room for a Skies of Arcadia remake or a new entry, which they also could do. Mm-hmm. But if I'm thinking about what Sega would probably do, I think the first thing they would do is probably do like a re-release of Skies of Arcadia, like a remaster, mm-hmm. and then maybe do like a Skies of Arcadia 2. I think is like probably what they would do. Mm-hmm. But
cool.
I mean, it's got Sky Pirates, so I mean, I'm not like super interested.
You're not too jazzed with that.
Yeah, it's one of those games where I'm like, yeah, I could have probably played this a long time ago, but I'm okay not having to do that. So
yeah,
but
cool.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the RPG Cave level 169. But before we go, of course, we got to say thank you to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. We start with our ultimate producers, Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive and the PlayStation Drive. You can find all of his music over his Linktree, like linktr.ee/pme.jib. Of course, he's got a new album out right now. And in fact, he just released some new music last night as well. So make sure to go check out JB. He's got some good stuff over there. Of course, loving the 169.
Nice.
Cwagmire, who humbly reminds you that the best babes are in fact Xenobabes, and TechMike, who says whether you're Kevesi or Agnian, you're a Xenobabe at heart.
Okay, I have to comment this one now, Ryan. Seth pronounced it right. And when I was listening to
because he's played Xenobabes.
You just butcher it on purpose. Anyways, keep on going, Ryan.
I pronounce it the same way every week, Garrett.
Yes, you do. When I was listening to your initial kind of spiel in the PlayStation Drive, it really threw me off. I'm like, why isn't Ryan saying the right things right now?
Now you understand.
It's completely different. And then Agnian's just objectively wrong, okay? And you know it. But anyways,
Agnian?
Is that what you say, Agnian?
I say Agnian.
Whatever. You say it wrong.
It's like the Jinn from Wishmaster. You ever seen the movie Wishmaster, Garrett?
No, I don't know movies from the 1970s. Sorry.
That's a movie from the 1990s, I'll have you know. And it's a Wes Craven film, okay? About an evil genie who turns people into glass or mannequins or throws them in a Houdini water tank. But
sounds like a heck of a time.
Our platinum producers, Smokin Joe, Solo, the Captain in Tim Paullin, and our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, John 32, Ligerwoods 330, OldMrFrump, Patrice Mallette, Peje, Shane Erickson, Stephen Keller, TheDonRob, the Jiggy Collector, and Toxic. Huge thank you once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. If you want to head on over there, hop in the cars with us, choose the tier that's right for you. And now, Garrett, please go.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Bland Explosion. I don't post much. I just follow other people and just read all of their posts.
Fair enough.
That's kind of my main thing over there. And then I'm on the Discord. I read every single message on the RPG Cave. I'm kind of in the PC Discord channel a little bit. I cannot wait. I can wait. January 30th is going to be a very busy day for me at work at the office, but is also going to be very busy for me refreshing the Best Buy page to see if my NVIDIA 5080 is available. Founders Edition, of course. I can't get an AIB. Those things look gross. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting week, Ryan. You will see my mood is very happy or very just meh. On that Saturday morning,
but haven't actually gone out and started camping out yet. We did a story today about people camping out at, but trying to get those cards today.
Oh, really? They're camping out already?
They're already camping out. Yeah,
I can't do. Who has the time for that?
The best part is these are people in Canada camping out for those cards.
I can only imagine what's going to happen in San Francisco.
Yeah, you might.
It's a lost cause. It's really because you got like these tech bros that sold off their startups and they're just like, I just want my latest GPU, and
pretty much,
yeah. Well, they'll get the 5090 whatever anyway, so maybe have a chance online.
Once again, Garrett, you started talking about the PC section on the Discord, and I kept thinking about the PC chips section in the Discord.
The President's Choice chips.
Oh my God.
I can't believe that's a brand, but here we are.
I can't believe it either. I also can't believe that I'm not on social media at all. I'm on the Discord at Ryan Turford. You can find me in the Discord. You can also find me over on Backlogged at Ryan Turford, where I've been posting little mini reviews, doing this with the keyboard, of all the little games I've been playing. So make sure to head on over there to see maybe what I'm playing next, because I haven't decided what I'm playing next, but maybe I'll decide tomorrow.
The wheel?
No, I'm not wheel. All the wheel of the games are done, Garrett. I'm not doing the wheel again.
Oh, okay.
I saw Riley King join the cult of the wheel, Garrett. They got another.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did he get?
He got Dead Space Remake.
Oh, good one.
But he's now officially joined the cult of the wheel now. He's one of them now.
He's one of them. Their numbers are growing. Like we got a lot of them in the wheel, the cult of the wheel. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Of course, Riley King acknowledging they got me.
Is Savoy Prime like the genesis of the cult of the wheel?
I believe Marcus O'Neill is actually.
Marcus O'Neill, okay. Because every time I look at like Blue Sky or Twitter or whatever he's on, I always see that wonderful video of the wheel going around, and then it picks a random game for him. There's like 300 games on his wheel, though. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That doesn't surprise me. But I mean, he's also playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, Garrett. He's like on Act 3.
Okay. So he's like, occupied for like the next 5 months.
Now he's halfway through that, more than halfway through that game.
Oh, good for him.
He's on Act 3 now. So
wow.
He made it way farther than we did.
Yeah, way farther.
God, you remember when we were playing Baldur's Gate, Garrett? Oh, man. That was a long time.
That was something. I do want to go back to it. It's shelved.
Yeah. Yeah.
For forever, probably.
Riley King chimes in, got 68 games on his wheel.
Almost nice.
That's a respectable number.
It is very respectable, yes.
Just like the respectable number, the level 169 of the RPG Cave.
Yes. For
Garrett Bland, I am Ryan Turford. This has been 169 of the RPG Cave, and we're out.
Bye-bye.